All right.
What's up, YouTube? Just start every episode that way.
Starting every, yeah. Knowing fully well we're not even on YouTube.
Yeah, just watching a still image. That's stupid.
We can I don't know how YouTube does their it's like YouTube podcasts or YouTube music or something. I don't know anyone who actually uses it. Also, if you Google YouTube podcasts, like the first thing that comes up is a Reddit thread that's just like YouTube podcast is the worst platform I've ever used. I'm like, cool, so that's great.
Yeah, not YouTube Yeah, but I can't talk today. Reddit tends to actually give me the correct answer I'm looking for, which is surprising. Which is funny because the Google AI isn't that built off Reddit threads, which are complete like jokes.
You can find all sorts of posts about the way people have screwed with like the Google AI responses and how they're just objectively wrong sometimes because it pulls from like incorrect information.
Yeah, I've tried to find how you can turn the Google AI off. I just skip past it and just go to the next answer.
Yeah.
I just don't look at it. I don't want it there.
We like literally just finished setting up the Spotify and our Instagram and doing all the like tech logistics side of like this podcast, and so our minds are very focused on like the really annoying side of like Apple Podcast sucks because Apple is incredibly hard to work with when you want to do anything else, and RSS feeds and all this other like shit I'm now like
alpha channels on PNG images, like whatever that means.
It's like just like all we wanted to do was just sit down and like get this taken care of, but like it became such a bigger headache than we wanted it to be.
It's been an hour and we're finally actually recording the episode. We've just been trying to mess with tech stuff for an hour now.
But we're on Instagram now, so you can follow us on Instagram at Adventure Twins Pod, and well, obviously you're already listening to us on Spotify, but we now have a Spotify account actually set up. We've just been recording episodes in advance, and we're like, we'll actually get a place to put them later. So,
yeah, we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit, but now we're good to go. We haven't released anything as of our recording this, so it doesn't matter.
So we're going to talk about the third episode of the first season of Adventure Time, Prisoners of Love. Finn and Jake help save a bunch of princesses who were being held captive by the Ice King. This episode was directed by Larry Licklider, a name I need to learn how to pronounce. It was written by Craig Lewis, Adam Muto, and Tim McKeon, and released originally on April 12th, 2010. So,
2010. Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's like
just like I still can't fathom that this is nearly 15 years old as of recording.
Yeah, I know, like, in the last episodes, those were released April 5th, so this was literally just like, oh, here's the 2 episodes for next week, like, and so this is the third episode people saw of it.
You know, I actually, when we started talking about doing the podcast, this episode was one of the ones that immediately came to mind, because I actually don't like this episode very much. We can get into it. I mean, we will get into it. That's why we're talking, but I don't actually care for it, other than the best character in the show finally showing up. Episode 3, we get the Ice King.
Yeah, Ice King is like a fan favorite. I mean, especially once they delve into his backstory, which is, we've still got ages to go before we ever get there. Ice King is just such a fun character. I made a note somewhere of like, obviously he's a bad guy, like he's locking up princesses and being like, oh, I'm just going to force them to like me until they want to marry me. I'm like, he's not a good guy, but there's something about him that's so, like, he's such a loser, and he's so non-threatening because he's just such a loser that, like, you can't help but kind of like him because he's just not a good villain.
Yeah, I actually wrote down he's like an old sassy old man who's just a bumbling fool. He's an idiot. But in these earlier episodes, he is still evil. He's really unhinged because he's so stupid. That makes him a little dangerous. And he gives off really creepy vibes in the episodes when he's focused on just kidnapping women and like forcing them to date, and he can't take no for an answer. little creepy at first, and so it's always like, oh my god, I love him, he's so fun, and it's just like, wait, that's not someone I should be rooting for, but he gets better. But his bumbling oofness is still here.
I like how when they first, well, the episode starts, Finn and Jake are just kind of having a fun day. They're just kind of playing in the snow. They go sledding. Jake uses his body as a sled, and then they switch places, and Jake shrinks down and uses Finn's body as a sled. And then they just kind of fall into a pit, and the Ice King is like, "You're trespassing here. I'm the ruler of the Ice Kingdom." And like, they just seem more like annoyed that they ran into him. They're not like upset or like, it's more of like a, oh man, it's that guy. We have to talk to him now.
Like, oh man, the tax assessor's in town or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's annoying. He's that grumpy old man who like told you to not cross the street because there were cars.
Yeah,
or,
it's like your neighbor who doesn't want you playing in your yard. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And it's, I think that's like funny is like he's like the first established like bad guy we have.
I mean, in that shot when they run into him, he's like gardening or something. He's like clearly in the middle of something, like unbothered doing his own thing, and Finn and Jake do kind of come in and just like bother him.
Yeah, they just kind of annoy him. I mean, they're just kids. I mean, it's just I mean, I don't know how old Jake actually is, but like Finn is like 12.
Yeah. Overall, this episode actually gives me first episode vibes, as in this could have been the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they could have just started with it. I think probably it feels that way because it's really reminiscent of the pilot, and so I wouldn't doubt that they looked at the pilot and kind of made a more fleshed out, not as chaotic version of the episode.
Yeah.
But it's the same conflict of the pilot of Ice King's kidnapping princesses. Jake and Finn go to save. That's about it.
Yeah, I know we haven't really talked about the pilot a ton, but like going to the pilot and looking at this episode, Ice King has barely changed, and I'm like, yeah, they kind of nailed it like first go.
Yeah,
they were like, yeah, we got that character right. So
he's a good character. Yeah. The reason I don't like the episode though, it's actually specifically the dancing scene when they're in the jail cell. It's so cringy to me. Like, I know it's meant for kids, but like I cringe so hard watching that I'm like, oh god, I hate this episode.
The part where they're all like, oh, we have to look like we're having a ton of fun.
Yeah, and they're like, no, it's got to feel real, and then it looks so fake, and then LSP is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a good time. Like I hate that part so much.
Well, when they're like, oh, we need to dance harder and faster. It's just the exact same animation as before,
but
just literally sped up faster. And I like that because it's like, oh, we're not even gonna like animate it, so it's just like physically, we're going to just physically like play it faster.
I actually noted that Hot Dog Princess dancing harder is pretty funny because she's just like writhing around on the floor like going crazy. It was pretty funny visually, but like that's about the only part of that scene that I care for.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great introduction. I mean, with a lot of these early episodes, I don't know if it's just because it's one of those, it's hard to say as a 25-year-old talking about a show that was made for children. Like what makes something like good or bad, but like it's a pretty standard episode, but I think introducing the Ice King as a character, it's like, it's fun. There's a lot of stuff that like it was so heavily in like the marketing of when this show was first released that it's like, do you know what Ice King means? Yeah, I know what Ice King means. The big nerd.
Oh, holy cow.
Yeah, it's like that stuff is so heavily in like all the ads for the show as a whole that it's like, oh yeah, it's like that part. So
it's iconic. It's, I mean, I think we talked about this in one of the first episodes I remember sitting in art class in elementary school, like 5th grade, I think, and we were sitting there quoting that exact line to each other at the table. That's the old sound bites, still kind of introducing the show and the characters, all that fun stuff.
I like I like Ice King walking back to his castle, and he's like, trail mix. he just carries around trail mix with him. A yogurt chip.
I thought it's so Ice King to look through it from an almond and put it back and just pick out the good parts. Like those are like not the worst kind of people, but like the most mildly annoying people who pick out all the good stuff of trail mix, so that when you go in, it's like just all the almonds. And
But
Ice
also,
King
it's
is
like,
that person.
if he just lives by himself, what, he bought trail mix just to pick out all the parts he doesn't like? Just eat something else. Why does he even have trail mix?
But he clearly made the trail mix himself as in a Ziploc bag. I mean, he put that together himself, or got gifted in like a potluck style snack exchange. Maybe does he do that?
I actually don't know if I've had. Yeah, maybe he does. There's a trail mix that every now and then at work they have in. If you go to like, some like event, they're like, oh, we have like snacks, and they always have trail mix, but it's like a tropical trail mix, so it always has little bits of
banana chips.
Yeah, it's got like banana chips and like dried pineapple, and that one's pretty good.
I like the Southwest trail mix, or the ones with like the sesame sticks, and those are pretty good. This is our trail mix podcast where we talk about our favorite types of trail mix.
Yeah, we are sponsored by Trail Mix, not a brand, just in general.
So yeah, we feel obligated to talk about the almonds. We like it all personally, except the almonds. Ugh.
Yeah. Of all the nuts, almonds are actually probably one of my least favorites.
So I kind of You don't like almonds?
I'm not a huge almond fan, no.
They grow on you. It's a good like fatty. It's like a good fatty snack for a pick me up.
Fatty snack is an almond.
Yes,
they're like high in protein. I know I eat a lot of cashews, but they're expensive.
Oh, I'm more of a macadamia nut. I live the fancy
now
lifestyle.
that's expensive.
Whoa. A poor man's peanut. So
I love a good peanut. Oh, I think I have peanuts downstairs.
So I kind of organized my notes as we already kind of talked about initial thoughts and everything, but I kind of point out here are the fun things I noticed, and here are my favorite quotes or jokes. And I'm more saying this so that it feels like we have some sort of rhythm to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, where the hell are we talking, or trying to piece together what we talked about. Very start of the episode, fun thing I noticed, the snow golem makes a quick appearance. He's playing in the snow, and they take his head off, and he puts it back on as a cat.
I noted, my note just says weird lil guys, which is my way of like, I know there's a name for these guys, but I liked that they're just like in the background. There's just like these monsters. Like, that's kind of cool. And they just have, just a small little gag, and it keeps going. And I'm like, cool.
But I'm just a big fan of the snow golem. When we get to that episode, I just love him. He's so cute. And he's in the theme song. It's just like they never do anything with him. He's just kind of there. Did you see the snail in this episode?
I did. I did not catch it in the first two episodes to my memory, but I caught it.
I don't remember seeing it the first two.
I caught it in this one. It's like a close-up shot of like Slime Princess, and it's like he's just kind of in the background in the jail. So
yeah. So I don't think we talked about that. The snail is a visual little gag. They draw like a little snail waving at you, and it's in every episode, but it's often hidden. It's there for like a second or two. It's typically in the background or on a ledge somewhere. But it's like this little snail that waves at you, and it's in every episode. You can try to like pick out where's the snail in the episode.
Yeah, it's just kind of this little running like Where's Waldo kind of thing. It's like a lot of South Park has an alien somewhere hidden in the episode. Sometimes they're super obvious. I don't think they still do that, but like for the longest time, it's like there was an alien in like crowd shots who would just kind of be there. So
yeah, it's kind of like in Gravity Falls. You can kind of pick out the time traveler.
Oh, yeah.
That has, like, more story and purpose to it. Oh, technically the snail does, too, eventually, but that's besides the point.
I don't know if it always intended that. I think it was just, like, a little snail guy, so...
It's a fun little thing. I've actually, I don't have any tattoos, and I don't think I want to get any, but if I were to get one, I'd have seriously considered putting the snail on my, like, ankle or something. It's like a fun little, like, if you see it, you see it. If you don't, doesn't matter.
The snail, right? Like, the snail that if it touches you, you're dead.
Not that snail. No, I love that one though.
Yeah, I once did a D&D campaign. We didn't end up finishing the whole campaign, but like the big reveal was that it just became like the snail. It was the snail that if it touches you, you die. So it was trying to figure out like what do we do from there.
That's fun. Finn had his flute in this episode, which is I kind of forget he plays the flute. it shows up every now and then, but
I
it also
honestly
fell
didn't
apart.
remember a flute or anything about that. I just remember Finn going through all of his things, and he also mentioned he had trail mix with him.
Oh wait, I missed that.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I've got a sweater, like a pair of socks, some trail mix. Oh, my flute. But I'm like, why do they both just have trail mix?
Maybe on adventuring. Maybe this is like
Yeah.
it's talking. They're on adventures. They need trail mix. It's like when you go on a hike or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can imagine. It's like, oh, we're going to go out sledding. We need a snack. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because trail mix is just such a regular person thing. And this is like an adventure fantasy show.
Yeah.
So I guess that's part of the joke is like, they just eat trail mix. Just regular old trail mix.
It's yeah. I like that Ice King's castle. It's like a weightlifting set, and then a drum kit and a keyboard, and that's pretty much all there is to it. His bed with like a leopard, leopard or tiger
I took
print
note
blanket.
of that, and I just said Ice King is an incel. His drum says number one babe, and then his bed is like not made. He's got the leopard sheets, and he just has a laptop and an empty pizza box.
I said batch pad, but yeah, incel works too. And I mean, he is an incel in these episodes, so it makes sense.
I'm like, yeah, he's yeah. Like if you're on like r/male living spaces, and I'm like, this is.
If you one of the Adventure Time video games, you go around the castle, and they pretty much nailed it with the decor. It's just like his weightlifting set, the bed, and set drum kit. And that's about all there is.
I think that kind of leads to him being so likable. It's just he's so pathetic. Just his entire personality is. He's just kind of a joke. He's just not a guy. Like
he's so non-threatening. And the last fun thing I noted is the episode ends with the Adventure Time title card like coming up. It ends. It swings Adventure Time at you. That never happens. Like that caught me off guard because they stopped doing that.
I noticed that for the second episode that at one point. But it's like they kind of were like experimenting if that was going to be a motif.
Or like
I don't know. It's like if they were trying to figure out like a formula, because it's like I don't know, something like Phineas and Ferb, where it's like every episode there's like I know what we're gonna do today, and it kind of feels like the same thing. But it kind of like when they do it, it's cool, but at the same time, it's like eh. So I honestly didn't even realize it ended. My last note just says the penguins are neato because I like the penguins in Adventure Time.
I also like the penguins. I think like back to the Phineas and Ferb. I think having kids shows be so formulaic is helpful because it's predictable. Same thing of like watching the same movie or TV show over and over again. There's like a sense of comfort in that formulaic show or repetition.
Then you can break from that formula. Once you've established it, it allows you to then set something different, and it makes it feel better.
Yeah.
Often when you break from formula.
Here with these early Adventure Time episodes, it feels like they never knew quite what to do with that because, episode like 1 or 2, they actually say it's Adventure Time, and then the title card comes up.
Yeah.
And then here it just ends with that, and then they like very rarely say it's Adventure Time anymore. Like it's just like they kind of sometimes go with it, and other times it's like, we don't actually want to do that. So I don't know.
I sometimes wonder about was the scale of the show too big too early? Because we're at 3 episodes, and every single character in this episode is a new character.
Yeah.
With the exception of Finn and Jake, and then we got Lumpy Space Princess.
Yeah.
But like every other character, did we see one of them at the tea party in episode?
I don't even think we did.
Because they start on like the like bouncing like marshmallow.
I think it was just Lumpy Space Princess and PB.
And so that's kind of what I'm like. We keep getting new episodes. Like we're in a totally new environment every episode, and I'm like, I know that's part of the charm. It's like it's Adventure Time. Like they go on adventures, but I'm like, there's a lot of characters pretty fast. So
I mean, even the next episode, we got Tree Trunks. So it's like, boom, another character, another setting. Like the show, it tries to get it all in pretty quick, but it pays off in the end when there's like every single one of these characters is so well established after 10 seasons.
But yeah, that was something of like why it feels. I forget entirely where I was going with any of that.
Yeah. Wow, that's deep. Wow.
I like.
It makes you think.
It makes you think. I like when Finn grows eyebrows. For when he's like very serious or angry about something, he grows like very thick, realistic eyebrows.
I don't remember that.
He looks like Groucho Marx. He just gets this
Yeah.
real like furrowed brow, and I'm like, because otherwise, like his face is so. It's like two dots on a curved
It's
line.
a very simple design, yeah.
So it was like he just grows the eyebrows and they like become massive. So, what's your? That was the last fun thing you noticed. What was your next category?
Favorite quotes or jokes, just the things that like made me laugh. I like that.
Yeah.
We already did that. Big nerd. Oh, holy cow.
Yeah.
The trail mix we talked about extensively.
I liked how after he's like, I'm cool. I'm the king of cool, and he just starts doing karate moves, and I'm like, that is cool. Like I don't know. I don't know why.
Pretty cool.
I don't know.
I
What
like
they're
when
talking
Ice
about.
King. He starts laughing and his arms get like squiggly noodles and he goes hee, and he starts slapping his butt a bunch. That was
that
fun.
one was in a lot of the ads, I think, right? But like,
Yes,
he pulls
I
up
remember
his
that in
like
ads.
cloak, and he's got like these just scrawny ass legs.
Yeah, you picture him as being this big full dude, but he's like this scrawny guy wearing a muumuu, and his beard is like as big as. I don't know
His
how his
beard,
muumuu
like-
stays so fit. Like I don't know how he does that, or it's so form. It's like form fitting, but like reverse form fitting. If that makes sense. I don't know how he does it.
He just like balloons up.
Yeah.
I laughed when Finn was like, "Oh, we all have to say fun things like whoopee," and I'm just like, "Yeah, those are
That's
fun
fun.
things. That's
Yeah,
fun.
that's,
Yeah,
I say that when people call me a fun guy. I go whoopee and
whoopee."
it's good for a laugh. When Ice King was punched in the beard, he goes, "Oh my beard!"
Oh, my beard. Yeah, that's a classic.
That's a great.
That's
I think they advertised with that too. Actually,
It's like a lot of this episode is in a lot of those early ads where it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because this episode along with Tree Trunks played a lot, just because it's an early one. But I'm like, they got some
Yeah.
runtime out of these ones. I was curious when Ice King left to go grab more fun things, and when the people in the prison made their plan to like have a party to escape, Ice King comes back with a tray of just random shit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what was his plans here? Because it's like just like a block. There's a little minifigure of himself.
I noticed that. I'm like, what? He had a little figure of himself. It's like that episode of Chowder with the Cindy Mini Monster,
Yeah.
where it's like the Cindy Mini Monster has a playing character and it's himself. And
Yeah.
Schnitzel's like, I don't want to be the burnt toast. Or
I don't care if you don't want to be the burnt toast schnitzel.
also,
But I was like, he's just got this random little plate of just like things. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
what is this? What's his idea of fun?
I like the one. It's the very end of the episode. I guess it's not. I can't remember if it ends with him flying in his dream or if it ends with Finn and Jake like riding back with the princesses. Anyway, where it's the cosmic owl comes out, it's like, you're a sociopath.
Yeah.
It's just that's a great line.
Yeah. He's like, why do people not like me? And his first thoughts are like, oh, it might be the beard. And it was like, no, it's nothing. I forget the exact things he said. But he was like, also I made note of the whole Cosmic Owl like dream experience of the
Yeah.
Ice King as one of the first like what the hell moments of the show of like, wait,
Yeah.
what is this? And it just like a what?
It's
kind
funny,
of
yeah, because like
reaction.
I looked at it and I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize the cosmic owl showed up this early into the show,
Yeah.
episode 3. But yeah, no explanation. It is very
But then
random.
But then he wakes up and he's being like surrounded by the penguins, and so we're like, oh, it must have just been a dream of self-reflection because he's trying to wonder like, I know what you are, a big. Wait, what's he like? Wiggles his fingers. Does he say a big nerd?
I think that's what he says.
Does he say nerd again?
I didn't note it. I don't remember. I think he says big nerd.
Because big nerd was what they're like. Do you know what Ice King means?
Yeah, but I thought he said that again, almost as like a callback.
Maybe.
are like, hey, look, I'm using it too, so I'm like, I'm hip, I'm cool.
I like just he's naked in his dream flying through space, but his beard is so big it like literally covers his whole body. I just like any character designed like that when they have such a massive beard it consumes their whole body. It's just like peak animation character design.
It's like that. I think there's a Shel Silverstein poem with it's the same idea. It's like a dude who never cut his hair or never cut his beard, and he'd just go around without clothes on. It's a shorter one.
Sound familiar.
Yeah. I don't remember which book it was, but I remember it's a pretty funny drawing that our buddy Shelley did.
Oh, Shelley. This podcast is sponsored by Shel Silverstein, who
you see that
is dead, right? He's dead.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. He was friends with Johnny Cash, so he would be pretty old.
Yeah, he wrote Boy Named Sue.
He did. Yeah. Johnny and Shelley, and a couple others would sit around just like reading song lyrics and stuff, and he wrote Boy Named Sue, which is why it's so reminiscent of a Shel Silverstein poem.
Yeah.
Good
Well,
stuff.
that's your fun fact of the podcast is Johnny Cash songs.
Yeah. I read his autobiography, so I know quite a bit about Johnny Cash. Anyways, I also liked at the end where it's like, the Slime Princess is coming on to Finn, and Jake is like, oh, no, he like farts or something, and Slime Princess is like, put me down.
He wets his bed like daily.
Yeah, but it's like Slime Princess's like visceral reaction to that and like screaming and genuine fear was so funny to me because it's not just like a ew, it's like scared.
Yeah, I think it was specifically that he wets his bed every day. Yeah, so it's things we noticed, things that we
funny
had the giggles
quotes or
about, little
jokes,
hee-hees, little ha-has. What's the last thing you took note of?
Just initial thoughts. So just kind of thoughts, funny things, like, and then just like, hey, here are the specific lines or jokes that made me chuckle that I hope other people listening in might be able to be like, yeah, that part made me laugh too.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy this episode. I think it's a great introduction to the Ice King.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cartoon from 2010 for children. So like I judge it based on what a lot of cartoons were like back then. So
I try to judge things as true cinema. So if it's not that, then it's bad.
yeah, but
what is true cinema?
I was gonna say, do you want me to whip out the old degree and start asking what is true cinema?
Everyone knows that if it entertains you, then it's true cinema.
But doesn't make it good. Necessarily it's good in a different, that's the concepts of goodness is a whole conversation with that.
Yeah, that gets
within
so
academia
for this. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
what is
I know
Adventure Time,
you and I are both. You and I are both into like the weird like cult movies that are like, if I know means this is like a good movie, but boy is it good.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
maybe I don't know.
The last movie I watched was like 2004 Stepford Wives.
I
was not paying attention to it, so I didn't actually even give it a review on Letterboxd.
I started into Zombieland, just watching something mindless. We didn't finish it, and then I caught the tail end of, on the cruise ship I was just on, I caught the tail end of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I sat eating a slice of pizza at like midnight, watching that from a hot tub.
I
caught
still
the tail end of it. It's decent.
Yeah, I got signed out
it's
of
not
it.
like, I mean, I don't know. Like, there were parts of it that were like stupid. Like, I don't know. You should look at my Letterboxd review. It'll make sense when you watch the movie. There are parts that like, this is just stupid. I don't like that they went this direction, but like, it's a fun blockbuster movie. Like, you can't go wrong with the Ghostbusters. So you're going to have fun watching it. But I also, there were parts I didn't. Afterlife was much better. Afterlife was genuinely really good. But what is
liked
good?
Afterlife.
Afterlife's a good movie.
You could hear all about this on our Ghostbusters Afterlife podcast, After Afterlife, where we talk for 3 hours each week on our favorite moments from Ghostbusters Afterlife.
We're only talking about the little Easter eggs for Harold Ramis, and that's a whole week-long episode. We talk a week straight on Easter eggs.
You called them little Easter eggs? That's not even little. That's like... That shot of Harold Ramis as a ghost in the end is like, it just keeps going. It's like, dude, this shot's like 30 seconds long. Just end it. No one's even saying anything. We're just looking at a CGI Harold Ramis.
I like the Afterlife, you know? I'll say it.
You know,
Remember
I'll just
when we-
say it. The feminists are taking over 4 female Ghostbusters.
I don't care what gender they are, as long as they're Lutheran. That's one of my favorite clickhole, just because, like, I like seeing the Lutherans get mentioned. Like, I just feel like we don't get mentioned often. So it's like, yeah, Lutherans, we made it. Look, they're talking about us.
Well,
We'll talk
that's-
about this in our Deconstructing Christian Denominations podcast.
yeah, we have a million. Okay.
We'll all upfill them once we figure out how to work Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, it all circles back. Look, it ties back to the beginning.
We weaved it.
We totally intended this from the beginning. This is we're good. We are so good. That's
Alrighty.
the end of this episode.
Yeah, Adventure Twins.
Adventure Twins.